William Wordsworth was born in Cockermouth, England on April the 7th of 1770. He was the second of four brothers with only one sister, Richard being the oldest, William being the second oldest, Dorothy the only girl, born the Christmas the following after William, and then John and Christopher, the two younger sons. William's father's name was John, and he was an attorney, and he was frequently away on business trips, and it has said that in some of William's earliest poems that the beauties such as rivers and mountains are compared to times such as uproar and torment, and it has been suggested that with a father who was almost never present in his life and a mother with 5 kids would have no control over the family. William's mother's name was Anne, and she stayed home to take care of the kids. William spent much of his early life at Penrith, and in 1778, William's mother died. William's father came back to take care of William and his brothers, but didn't want to take care of him, so he sent William and his brothers to grammar school at Hawkstead Church, and he sent his sister to live with an aunt and uncle since she was not allowed to attend school. While at school, William's headmaster encouraged him to read and write poetry at an early age, and in 1787, William left the Lake District for the very first time to Cambridge University. In numerous resources, it says that while attending Cambridge, he did not succeed or do well at Cambridge. However, it's ironic because he becomes one of the most famous romantic poets in the world. 10 years he lived in South England, and then in 1799 he chose to live in Gransmere Vale. He moved to Dove Cottage with his sister on December the 20th in 1799, this is where he wrote most of his famous poems, and became a good friend of the romantic poet Samuel Coleridge, who was also a romantic poet at this time. It is said here sometimes that William's sister Dorothy had kept a diary of the landscapes and the scenery that William constantly writes about in his poetry. So, some people suggest today that maybe some of the poetry that William wrote was not his own but his younger sister's, and maybe that he published it in a way for her because she was a girl and wasn't allowed. In 1802, William was married to a lady named Mary Fletchinson, and in 1813 moved to Rydal Mount. William Wordsworth was the guide to the lakes. He defended all the lakelands, and he was against aggressive change. He called it a sort of national property, and he forestalled the establishment of the national park to make sure that people could enjoy the same beauty as he got to. He was also very important to Queen Victoria, and in 1825 he bought the land beside the Rydal Church, which he later gave to his daughter named Dora. Wordsworth died at Rydal Mount on the 23rd of April, 1850. He was buried in Gransmere Churchyard overlooking the River Rothay. Inside the church, there's a memorial plaque dedicated to Wordsworth. My favorite poem that Wordsworth wrote is called The Solitary Reaper. I like it because Wordsworth uses personification to describe the voice. He writes that no nightingale did ever chant, and his tone is then changed, and he wonders who the person or who the girl is singing about. Is it unhappy? Is it sad? And it's kind of a mystery about who the poem's about. We don't know if it's about his sister or his wife. And he's obviously really intrigued by what she's saying or what she's singing and how her voice sounds. And his emotions betray this throughout the poem. He does a really good job using rhyme throughout the poem, and personification and imagery are really elaborate. So here it goes. Behold her, single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to weary bands of travelers in some shady halt among Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling near was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old unhappy far-off things and battles long ago. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today, some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and may be again? Whate'er the theme the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending, I saw her singing at her work, and o'er the sickle bending. I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more.